And welcome into the MLB Hot Stove Daily here at the Upside Sports Network. My name is Michael. Appreciate you guys taking some time out and joining us for our 2025 season preview show, getting into every single prediction, where your team is going to finish in your division, who makes it to the playoffs, and who ultimately wins the World Series. We'll also do season awards as well for MVP, Cy Young, and much more. But we also want to get into some of the headlines. Jordan Montgomery is out for the season after being a trade candidate the entirety of the offseason. Ultimately, he's going to go down with the Tommy John injury. Not exactly a great last couple of years here for Jordan Montgomery. Goes from winning the World Series, the penthouse of the league, to the absolute outhouse there with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Just his tenure could not have gone worse from top to bottom, joining late, ownership calling him out towards the end of the season after a very rough year on the field. And then this year, hoping things would get better because maybe he'd be traded before opening day, get settled in a new location. That doesn't happen. Then days leading up to the 2025 season, he goes down with Tommy John surgery. I'd say it's been a 365 days to forget for Jordan Montgomery. Wish him nothing but the best and a speedy recovery. He will be a very cheap bargain basement add to somebody's free agent haul next year. He probably won't be eligible to pitch or healthy enough to pitch until the All-Star break. So just hoping he comes back healthy and gets back to the form we saw in 2023 with the Texas Rangers. Several different roster decisions were made over the last couple of days. We saw the Rangers decide to go a little bit young in their starting rotation, keeping Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker. Houston Astros decided to keep a little bit more youth on their roster with the positional side, bringing in Cam Smith. We saw the Angels. Sounds like they're going to keep Johnson, I can't remember his name, Ryan Johnson, who's never pitched a game in the minor league so far, on their big league roster. There's several players that are surprising us right now, making these big league clubs, and that what makes some things really interesting. On the downside here, we're seeing a lot of veterans get booted out of camp. Guys like Mickey Moniak, who I thought would have been a great fit for the Angels. He was one of their better outfielders last year, and really kind of developed really strongly there ever since his failed time there in Philadelphia. But he's going to be looking for greener pastures. Something tells me he's going to land somewhere very quickly here. So don't be surprised, Astros fans, maybe, just maybe, he could be headed your way. But just want to welcome in everybody. Appreciate you guys for all the well wishes and concerned thoughts you guys had. Everything's fine. Everything's good. Just had some stuff I need to take care of with the family, and we're back at it and ready for 2025 opening day. In case you guys missed our announcement late last night, we are going to do our sports talk show tomorrow morning, probably between 10 and 11, somewhere in there is when we'll start our live. Probably discuss a lot of the NFL, a lot of the NBA, some NHL as well as we gear up for the Stanley Cup playoffs anyway, and then we'll talk a little bit about opening day. And then in the evening, we'll get into our power ranking show for the final time before the 2025 season, kind of let you guys know where teams stand with their injuries, rosters, all those kinds of things as well. But first, make sure you guys hit that like on the video. The thumbs up really does go a long way to helping us out. Right now, we got about 15 of you guys with us, so right now we're already at 10. Nice. Thank you guys for liking the video. Really does help us out, so thank you very much. If you guys haven't done so already, smash that thumbs up on here, spam some hearts in the chat, say hello. Very friendly community out there, so feel free to join us. It's a lot of fun. So welcome in Rafe, Cowboys Nation, Holly, Anthony. Appreciate you joining us once again. You'll be able to watch for 20 minutes. Well, you can always watch a little bit later, but I understand, life happens, my friend. Has the record already been broken? The record already been broken for the worst losing record in MLB history, because I feel my Marlins might be the one to break it. There's a good chance they could get there, but I don't think any realistic chance of that happening is going to be this year. I'll put it that way. I put it very remote as far as that possibility. We'll we'll get plenty in time. All right. Slept 4 hours, 3 days. That's a lot of hours, my friend. White Sox, you think last season, but I can't recall. The White Sox were absolutely terrible. Astros might surprise a lot of people. I'm not going to be surprised if the Astros are in the playoffs. I'm also not going to be surprised if they're one of the first teams out of the playoffs. So I'm not sure how much surprising they're going to do for me. I have a lot of respect for what the Astros have accomplished over the last almost decade now at this point, from where they really bottomed out as an organization with Jose Altuve on those really tough, struggling teams, going through all of this, high points of their, organization. And now Jose Altuve's in left field, struggling to shag fly balls, but he's still there. He is Mr. Astro right now, through and through. Hope everybody's doing well. Stream's doing good. Sorry we didn't keep up. No worries, Rafe. You're good. How about Diggs to the Patriots? Yeah, I don't love the deal for either side, honestly. I thought Diggs should have been a better option for a number 2 somewhere. They do need a better wide receiver group out there in New England. I get it. $26 million is the guarantee there, so 1 year risk, I suppose, is the thought process there. But I would have chosen to go a different direction. We've seen how Stephon Diggs anywhere is a really good receiver. We saw that with the Minnesota Vikings and the Buffalo Bills. We saw that with Houston last year. But to partner him once again with a young quarterback, I would just wonder if he's better suited for a more veteran team that can handle his issues, I should say, with quarterback play. They lost Bregman and Tucker, but in MLB, anyone can be great and good at the same time. Sometimes a legend for a moment can change a team and a player dynasty or destiny. I hear you, Willard. You got to have optimism. It is opening day. Hope springs eternal, as they say. Maybe you're right. Maybe they go out there and break the record for best team ever during the regular season, win the World Series, and steamroll through the entire league. Do I think that's overly likely? No, and you'll see that reflected in my predictions here in just a moment. My prediction: White Sox beat the Marlins in 7 games in a battle of trash World Series. I don't know. I would probably say the Marlins right now have a better pitching staff. I think after the deadline, I think the White Sox will certainly have a better team. It's funny that if the White Sox picked up John Singleton, he'd be like the 4th or 5th best player. I don't think he'd be their 4th or 5th, but I'd probably say in their 7 or 8 range. Cowboys Nation, I told you Altuve would be watching fly balls go over his head. We're watching him drop right in front of him, like at his feet right now. Red should throw the bag at Vladdy, because why not? Vladdy and Ellie would rake. True, but again, smaller market. Can you really afford it? Does this turn into a Marlins circa, Giancarlo Stanton situation where they have to offload any and all valuable pieces? I think they're best suited doing what they've been doing and maybe adding around the periphery. Maybe not the biggest whale in free agency, but maybe somebody to kind of help add around the periphery of this roster. Heel, you're laughing, but you're a Cowboys fan. You haven't seen what success looks like since the 90s. Well, I mean, we just saw the Texas Rangers. I will say that. 2023, we saw the Stars get all the way to the Stanley Cup final recently. Mavericks won a title in 2011, got to another NBA Finals last year. Going to be a while until they're at that point again. But I'd say the Cowboys have fallen behind, in my view, as far as how I view Dallas sports teams. They're still a huge draw, don't get me wrong, but they're not what I choose to base my sports content on. There's a reason for that. I'm not a huge fan of the way NFL is just so oversaturated in the media. And baseball, basketball, hockey, all other sports in that, for that matter, are relegated to fighting for the last crumb at the table of any national media. So I just think we talk way too much about the NFL, and these other sports, to me, have a better product on the field. You can tell me all day long till you're blue in the face that the NFL is the best product on the field, but when you're only giving me, 17 games and nothing but a soap opera off the field, sure, the soap opera's fun to talk about, but come on, man. We're talking about trades. The NFL doesn't do those very well. We're talking trades. Baseball does those much better. Basketball does those much better. Heck, hockey does those much better. So I just think the NFL marketplace is just so oversaturated. Yeah, but I'm talking Cowboys fan in general. True, I hear you. Welcome in, Doc Ghost. Oh man, time for bed. Good night. Got to be up in 4 hours. I hear you, Rafe. Well, go ahead and set your alarm anyway, but make sure you get to work and whatnot. But around the 13-minute mark is when we'll begin our predictions. So without further ado, let's get into our 2025 season predictions for the MLB season. Alrighty, let's get into the 2025 season predictions here at the Upside Sports Network. Now, keep a big grain of salt with this. I don't like doing too many predictions, but I figure everybody has to have an idea of where these teams are going to go, and I'm not going to sit there and say, "Oh, well, I've never really thought about it. I'm just a purist of the sport. I just watch it for the game." Come on, we all know we want to see what certain teams do. We have an idea of where teams are going to finish, and while I understand you have to maintain your impartiality when you get to the national media reporter level, Ken Rosenthal level type of stage. But at a certain point, let's be real here. We're all talking baseball because we enjoy the game. And let's just have some fun and see how accurate these predictions actually are. Now, I will say predictions are about as valuable as the paper they're written on. In this case, I will not even be printing it out, but I will be saving it. That way we can reference back and look back and just look at the All-Star break and just see how funny my predictions actually are at that point. How could I possibly have thought X, Y, or Z could be a postseason team? How could I have thought X, Y, or Z would be the worst team in the league? And when we get to the end of the season, we'll see who's actually still there. Steven, welcome in. I agree with you 100% on football oversaturation. I mean, it's just so exhausting. I mean, the local sports talk here in town isn't too bad. It's homer talk, of course, like you would expect from a local radio station, but they try to filter out the knuckleheads and the we them boys conversation all the time. But every now and again, they'll get one of those crank calls, and I just immediately turn off the radio. It's not even worth my wasting my time. I'd rather just listen to the breeze go by the window as I'm driving down the road. Let's see here. Cowboys Nation, we won't win as long as Jones is calling the shots. I don't know. I still am not necessarily on that bandwagon. I do think Jerry has developed a very keen eye for talent, both in the front office, Will McClay, among others. And, as far as actual talent on the field, he still has his issues. Don't get me wrong. Just look at Johnny Manziel and what he's done in the NFL. Oh, wait, that's nothing. As to what could have been for the Dallas Cowboys had they chosen to draft Johnny Manziel. I think his career would have gone much differently if he had gone to Dallas, sure, but I don't think it would have gone well either way. But I do think Jerry's not quite as bad as everyone paints a picture of him to be. Let's see here, Rafe. I'll try to catch up on all the streams this weekend if I ain't working. Cool, thank you, man. Appreciate you. All right, so let's begin our 2025 season predictions. So the one thing I wanted to look at is, let me pull up the standings here first. I want to use the ESPN ones. They're just cleaner to look at, I think. Did I click on the wrong one? I guess I did. Let's just do this one. Make it easy. Let's do the divisions first, because that's how I kind of want to start this off. Heel, I live in Texas and near Dallas, too. I don't want to hate the Cowboys, but the fans have kind of turned me into that kind of a person. I won't say all fans of. I would say there's a very loud minority that gives the Dallas Cowboys specifically a very bad name. I think there's that same vocal minority in every single fan base out there, but that vocal minority doesn't get nearly the airtime that the Dallas Cowboys vocal minority gets. And, it's what sells papers. It's what sells ad revenue. I get it. But at a certain point, I'm just, no. Check out, move on to the next. Oh, yeah, we need Jones and Nico out. No argument here on Nico. As far as Jerry, he ain't going anywhere. He owns the team. I will say that he needs to keep allowing his guys that are in charge of player personnel to make the decisions. As far as the purse strings, I think that's a Jerry Jones thing, kind of coming from the top down, where he believes in developing his own talent and overpaying his own players because he doesn't negotiate those contracts accurately. All right, but let's get into our prediction show here. We'll start in the AL East. Last year, Yankees on top, Orioles, Red Sox, Rays, and Jays. We'll start from the bottom and go to the top here. To me, I think Toronto is going to be struggling this year. I think they're going to get off to a decent start here in the first couple of months. And then I think the wheels are going to come off the bus, too much media attention, all those kinds of things. But for me, they're quite easily here in the final spot. I think they should be looking to trade Vlad Guerrero Jr., but we shall see. To me, the 4 here is relatively easy as well. This is the Tampa Bay Rays. No surprise. Rays, to me, don't have enough upward momentum to get any higher than this spot. I don't think they're better than the Red Sox. I certainly don't think they're better than the Yankees or Orioles, even with their struggles with health right now. Now the 3 spot gets very interesting. And for me, this is going to be a bit of a change. For me, this is where I have the New York Yankees finishing 3rd in this division. I don't think they have enough offense. I think their pitching took a massive hit with Garrett Cole. Sure, they'll feel a little bit less because of the addition of Max Fried. But to me, the advantage of, or the reason why you lose a Juan Soto and look at it with a glass half full perspective is that, hey, you went out there and added to your rotation. You have a really strong ace up the sleeve, rotation that can go out there and win you games. So for me, I just think that sacrifice there of losing Juan Soto, you thought maybe you had this backup plan of you'd have a really strong pitching staff. Well, now your best pitcher's gone for the entire season, and Giancarlo Stanton looks like he's going to be missing a lot of time, if not the entirety of the season as well, due to his elbow issues, not just in one elbow, but in both. Luis Gil is expected to miss a couple of months here as well. I'm just not sure the Yankees have the fortitude to withstand it or add enough payroll to solve their problems. Welcome in, Jeffrey. Appreciate you joining us once again. All right, let's see here. Second place team for me, this is, until they add another starting pitcher, which I do think they will add, I can't put the Orioles any higher than second in this division. Now, the one team that is above them for me, that I have now winning this division, is the Boston Red Sox. To me, Boston, they did a lot this offseason. They addressed that offense quite a bit. I love the rookies they have coming. Christian Campbell making the opening day roster. Mayer coming. Roman Anthony coming after he gets his weight back on after dropping 10 pounds due to illness during the spring training season this year. But I think the Red Sox are going to get healthy as the year goes along. Their rotation right now is in shambles due to injury. That will be resolved very, very shortly, unlike the issues for the Yankees. For the Orioles, Grayson Rodriguez goes down, but they make the addition of Kyle Gibson. They lose Corbin Burns and bring in Sugano. Charlie Morton is there now as well. They get Bautista back from injury. This is still a good team, a good rotation, but it's not the best in the league. I have a lot of issues once they get to October as well, but I think they'll do very well during the regular season. There's a good chance they're a 95-win ball club as a second-place finisher. Steven, thank you for this $2 super chat. I really do appreciate it. The Yankees will miss the playoffs 100%. Well, they're finishing 3rd here, so you'd have to hope if you're a Yankees fan that at best they get the second wild card. We'll get into those wild card predictions here in just a moment, though. Cowboys Nation, I hope Povich can continue excelling his development this season. I would hope so as well. Red Sox right now are the easy choice to win that division. That's kind of my thought process as well. The only caveat being is the health of that starting rotation. Orioles, to me, have a better 1 through 5, 1 through 6 right now, even with their injury issues. But I'd say Garrett Crochet at the top really pushes this thing forward where they can weather, any short, kind of a short-term flaw in their health in that rotation for the Boston Red Sox. For the AL Central, I think this one's fairly easy. Go ahead and pencil in the Chicago White Sox. Now, are they going to be a 40-win ball club again? No. They're going to be a good team this year compared to what they were last year. I'm talking maybe a 19 to 20 game improvement. That still only gets them to 61 wins. So they're very firmly in that number 4 spot. Or, excuse me, the number 5 spot. Number 4 for me is the Minnesota Twins. The Twins were not very good last year. You're hoping for some good injury, positive regression from some of those injured players, but that's what they've been banking on for years. There is no upward trajectory of this organization. $490-something million in debt. We're talking a $1.7 million sale price, getting ownership approval for Ty France. Just too many headlines going around right now for the Minnesota Twins to be a real contender, even though I think if they had invested in this team even just a little bit, we'd be talking about them very differently, possibly holding on to Pablo Lopez, making a run with the team that they have right now as far as for the division crown. Do I think they'll do so in the postseason? No, but I do think Minnesota is very clearly locked into the number 4 spot. Let's see here. Red Sox right now easy win. Let's see how Crochet holds up with the innings. True. White Sox won't be last. Andrew Vaughn is going to show you and win MVP. I don't think so. I think he's kind of a grunt at this point in the league, kind of a bench platoon type of a player that they need to have ultimately moved on from and allowed somebody else to take those at bats. All right, so who gets the number 3 spot in this division? For me, that is very easy. That's the Detroit Tigers. I thought if they added an Alex Bregman or a Ryan Presley to this team, this would be a really good team and a strong, top of the division now. With the Tigers, the Royals, the Guardians, all right there. But to me, they didn't do enough offensively. Huge questions about some of the back end of their starting rotation, and even bigger questions in that bullpen. Too many elephants in the room for them to be any higher than third. It's the only reason why I have them above the Twins in reality, even though I think the Twins are better right now on paper, is that I think the Twins are going to try to save some money here at the deadline. And I do think this team will be very different from a financial standpoint more than anything else. Second in this division, this one for me is very easy. I'm very high on the Royals this year. Yeah, I can spell. So Guardians get the 2nd spot. I like what they have in the rotation. Probably one of the best bullpens in the game right now, certainly on the American League side. But I just like what the Kansas City Royals have done. I think they've added just the right types of players that are conducive to their style of playing. Does it work for everybody else? No, but it does work for them. Speed, on-base percentage, contact rates, low strikeout percentages. Those are important things there for them, and I think they will excel at that. Defense should be better as well overall. And for me, the Royals, for me, are number 1 here with the Guardians as a clear 2. Let's see here. On a real note, if healthy, Twins win the Central. If the Twins aren't healthy, it's the Guardians. I will say that if they are healthy and don't trade anybody at the deadline, I'm still not sure they win, even though on paper they probably should. I just think there's so many issues around the team. I just think it's going to negatively impact them as the year goes along and just wear on them and wear on them and wear on them and wear on them. But for me, I really like what the Royals are as far as their lineup. Their bullpen had some nice additions. I like where they're set up. I think the Guardians could be right there as well. But for right now, those are my predictions. All right. AL West. Who gets the number 5 spot? For me, this one's a little bit of a toss-up. You have the A's and Angels. 63 wins for the Angels, 69 for the A's. I think the A's did add some nice starting pitchers to their staff to at least give them some MLB quality innings if they hope so, to trade some of those guys at the deadline or hold on to them for years in the future, whatever the case may be. But I do think the A's are slightly better than Los Angeles Angels, at least right now, so Angels get the 5 spot. Very easy decision here. Oakland gets the 4 for the same reasons we just discussed. Of course, they have a really strong closer as well, so maybe they could be a nice trade destination for a team looking for an elite closer in Mason Miller, as long as they can keep him from punching walls. Cowboys Nation, Witt Jr. is who I'll be watching for MVP. I still can't believe we passed on him. Adley made sense, but man, true, I do think Bobby Witt does have an MVP in his future. All right, third for me, this one is a slam dunk for me because they did not add offense. They did get the extension done today anyway for Cal Raleigh for around $100 and change million over 6 years. I love this extension a lot more than I do the extension we saw for Alejandro Kirk the other day. I think this is the type of player who's still an ascending player, solid-ish defensively, and then really is kind of the heartbeat of that locker room. A really strong, tried and true leader for that organization, and really love that extension. But the Mariners just did not do enough offensively, and so that's why they're very easily here in the number 3 spot. For me, I think you guys already know what I'm going to do in the number 2 spot. I am a Rangers fan, but I just think the Rangers did enough. I was going to call them the Houston Rangers. The Houston Astros, anyway, finished in the 2 spot for me. I do like what they did in some respects this offseason. I like that they're actually going to trust Cam Smith to be able to stay on the Major League roster, play every day. Altuve thing, I think, is going to be a failed experiment for them. I think the rotation issues in the first half are really going to bite them. Some of those rougher, stretches in the first couple of months, I think, are going to wear on this team a little bit more than if they had some of their better arms available to them. And so that leaves you the Texas Rangers as the number 1 here, the winner of the AL West. Now, Rangers, to me, I think they did enough offensively with Jock Peterson and others to kind of help bolster the power deficiency that they really identified was their issue last year. And, the rotation still needed some work. I think Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter, while inexperienced, are probably their best options right now just to see what they got. But I still think they need to add depth somewhere down the line. Dane Dunning was put through waivers. Sounds like he has been outrighted off the roster and down to AAA. He could obviously be called back up if necessary, if they put him back on the 40-man roster. But something to kind of keep an eye on there. But the Rangers, I think, are set up really well in the AL West. On the NL side of things, we'll start at the bottom in the NL East. You have the Marlins, Nationals, Mets, Braves, and Phillies. This is obvious, Miami Marlins. They have zero offense to speak of. They're going to trade all their pitching away. Marlins finished last. For me, this one's also very easy. Washington Nationals, while they could jump up and surprise and get maybe the 3rd spot here, I think we're all realistic and say, hey, Nationals, while your future is very bright, I think you're 1 year too early to the party for now. Top 3 here. Mets, Braves, and Phillies. Where do I think these teams ultimately finish? I love the smaller additions that they made there in it with the Braves roster. Mets, to me, still need some starting pitching, but I think that offense is going to be enough to carry them through some tougher times. Phillies, I think, have the best rotation in that division anyway. They got some nice pieces offensively, but they're really counting on getting the last drops of good baseball left out of some of the other players that are left there. We're talking Kyle Schwarber. We're talking Nick Castellanos. We're talking Taijuan Walker, Jesus Luzardo. I'm not sure how much the Phillies have left there. The Mets, you're talking about some of the injury issues that they have in their rotation. Braves, they got a lot of smaller contracts in there, but I'm not sure any one of those is a guy you point to and say he's the guy that solves it for us outside of Jurickson Profar. So all 3 have their question marks for me. But who do I think finishes 3rd in this division? I do think the Mets will have the flexibility to add a number 1, and I think they'll be elevated out of here. Braves, I don't think that they have the issues that, say, the Philadelphia Phillies do because they're stuck with whatever they have on their roster. And it either works or it doesn't, and I just don't think it's going to get much better. So for me, Phillies, even though I have them very high on the power rankings charts, Philadelphia, if I can remember how to spell for a second. Phillies easily are the 3rd spot here. Braves and Mets, I think the Braves are going to be feeling Acuna's absence as we get into May and June. I do think the Mets will have enough ground to be able to make up that ground anyway. Once they do get their major addition, but for me, I just think the Braves are probably the number 2 team here. I'm really high on the Mets as far as their ability to add some pieces that they need. Guaranteed that they're not in the same spot as, say, some of these other teams that are really well set up right now. You talk about for instance, the Texas Rangers or the Seattle Mariners. They know what they have at each one of these spots here. They're not, drawing straws. Now, the Mariners, for me, still need offense, but they're not drawing straws as far as their pitching staff. And when you have a lot of these smaller level deals, like the Rangers do at the back half of their bullpen, you have to wonder about some of those other issues as well. But the Mets anyway are the number 1 team here in the NL East. It's weird typing on one computer and having it appear on another screen. I think that's why I keep messing it up. But for me, the Mets with Juan Soto, I think are going to have enough offense to really be around 500. And then, I do think they'll add enough pitching at the deadline or close to the deadline that it will solve their issues there as well. Let's see here. Try to catch up on a few of these comments. You think the Royals get a wild card spot? I think they're definitely in the playoffs. I have them winning the division. You think the Twins will start dumping salary, and with that debt and new ownership, you betcha. I guarantee they're going to try to do at least a little bit of that. Angels will get last place. I do agree. Pablo will be in Camden before the season's end. We'll see. We'll see. Let's toss up. Rangers or Astros, whoever gets second will be a wild card team. True. You have the Mets, Phillies, and then the Braves. I could hear you. Acuna Jr. is still out. True. Let's see here. Hey, CY. That Sandy guy in Miami, he looks pretty good. Go get him. I hear you. I hear you. All right, let's go to the NL Central, shall we? This is going to be a very competitive division. I think the St. Louis Cardinals are going to be a very competitive team, even though they're going to be in a retooling year this year. I don't think they have enough pitching, and I think they'll trade away the pitching that they have left at the deadline. And so for me, I think the Cardinals are quite easily the fifth spot here. For me, the fourth spot goes very easily to the Pittsburgh Pirates, who just had an injury to Jarrett Jones, but they just didn't add enough offense for me. That's my bigger issue, and I just don't think they're going to be able to have enough firepower to overcome the other teams in this division. Cincinnati, while better, I'm not sure they're that much better than what they already were beforehand. Now, I do think they're a better manager there with Francona taking over. I think they needed to make that managerial change a year ago. They finally get it done and bring in a really good one. But I just think it's not going to translate into enough to overcome some of the issues that they currently have. For me, the Cubs, for me right now, are very easily the second best team in this division. But again, they could make a big trade at the deadline. They are quote-unquote all in for this season. So I have to see what their decision comes down to add to this team, both offensively and on their pitching staff. Which leaves the Milwaukee Brewers at the division champions once again. They just find ways to keep on winning anyway. So I actually like the way they're set up for their season. I think they need more experience in that rotation. I think they need more availability more than anything else. And once they solve those issues, then this team is ready to hit the ground running and maybe even better than we expect. But I don't think anybody's confusing them with necessarily as a World Series contending type of a team. But I do think they have enough to be able to get through the issues that they may have. NL West, this one gets very easy for me. Rockies, very clearly in the bottom of this division here. I don't think it's relatively close. I think we're going to have competing teams for the bottom spot in all of Major League Baseball. Second worst team to me is the San Francisco Giants. I think this is still a retooling year for them. And so with Verlander coming on board and some of the other pieces that they've added, Willy Adames are really going to raise the floor of this team. I just don't think they have enough loft. I don't think they have that much growth left in that team. I think they're going to have to do it via free agency next offseason and through the draft as well. So keep your eyes peeled for the Giants next offseason. Third in this division, I've been tempted to put the Padres or the Diamondbacks here. I think we all know who the number one team in the NL West is, unquestionably. I've been going back and forth, with both of these teams. I really like the way the Diamondbacks are set up. Padres, though, are going to be very limited early, but could get healthier as the season goes along. But for me, I'm just not sure they're going to have the same team. I think they're going to be trading away a couple of key cogs here, and I just think this team is, third place written all over it. All right. Jackson Merrill, I think, has a really nice chance to get into that MVP conversation this year and be a serious candidate in the next couple of years. So something to keep an eye on. I think Arizona, obviously the number 2 team here. Really like what they did this offseason. Both in the rotation, bringing in Naylor. I think they've done a nice job tinkering with this roster. Bullpen still looks strong as well. That means the best team in this division, quite obviously, the Los Angeles Dodgers. I think in a short series, things could change for the Dodgers, but during the regular season, they're going to be just fine in any situation. Brewers are like diet Astros because no matter what they lose, they just find ways to keep contending. I couldn't agree with you more. They do a very good job of that. Houston's running a little bit bare in the cupboard, though. We'll have to see how long they can hold on to this nice run that they've had. All right, so our division champions, we have the Red Sox, Royals, Rangers. we have the Mets, Brewers, Dodgers. So, which two teams ultimately get the bye here? For me, I think the Red Sox have a really good chance to get that on the AL side. I think the Rangers have a chance to get that on the AL West side. Central, I think the Royals, while good, aren't necessarily on that same plane. I think they're going to be very competitive in every single game that they have, but I just like the way the rosters are set up. I think Boston has a nice clearance there as far as talent overall, which is why I think they'll be over that 100-win threshold or darn close to it. Same thing with the Rangers. I think the Royals are going to be pushing that 95, 98-win threshold there. On the NL side, my 1, obviously, Los Angeles Dodgers, unquestionably. My 2 is going to be the New York Mets. I think that's pretty obvious. All right, so who are the wild card teams? So on the American League side, you get 3 wild cards. In the NL side, 3 wild cards. Astros, to me, I think will be a wild card, but do I put them 1, 2, or 3? All right, so Guardians, do I think they make the playoffs? There's a chance. Orioles, I do think they'll get in because I think the regular season record will be just fine. I think I'm going to put the Orioles as the number 1 here, the first wild card. So Baltimore, you still make the postseason. Houston, I think, is a really good team here. I do think the Yankees aren't going to sit on their hands. I think they will make some additions to make this roster a little bit better and try to make a run. But do I think it's realistic? No. I'm trying to decide if I want to put Houston 2 or 3 on the AL wildcard. I'm debating between them and the Cleveland Guardians. Yankees to me are in the back of my mind as well. I think I'm going to go Houston as the I'll go Houston as the second wild card. I really like what Cam Smith is going to bring to that team. Now, our final wild card spot, we have teams like the Mariners, Guardians, and Yankees. And I think I'm going to go with Cleveland, possibly. Actually, no. I'm going to go with New York. Cleveland has a better bullpen, better stability as an organization. But I will say the Yankees certainly have the firepower to get whatever they need to and solve some of their issues. So I think they'll be able to pull out of the nosedive in time to snake that final wild card spot. I was debating between the Guardians, though. I'm tempted. I don't think the Tigers are in that same conversation, at least this year, until they make the additions that they need to make. On the NL side, Diamondbacks, Cubs, and Braves. Who gets the first wild card spot? I'm going to go with the Arizona Diamondbacks. I think that bullpen's going to be able to hold on to some of the leads that they'll be able to build up. I think the rotation's still pretty good. Good Lord, it's tough typing looking at 2 different screens. All right, I do think they get the first wild card. Second wild card, I think, is a slam dunk for me as well. I think it's the Atlanta Braves. I think it's pretty solid. All right, final wild card spot, and this is where it gets tough. Padres, Cubs, or Phillies. Phillies, I do think, will pull themselves out of the nosedive. The question is, how quickly can they do it? Padres, I like Jackson Merrill. I like Tatis. I think if they trade Dylan Cease and or Michael King, this is a very different team, and I'm not sure that's the best long-term answer for them. So, with that being said, I'm going to say the Philadelphia Phillies. Get the final wild card spot. And there's your playoff picture. Division winners again, you have the Red Sox, Royals, Red Sox, Royals, and Rangers on the AL side. Mets, Brewers, and Dodgers on the NL side with your wild card teams. The Orioles, Astros, and Yankees, followed by the Diamondbacks, Braves, and Phillies as well. All right, let's see here. Brewers are Freddie should have bounced back season. True. Orioles, Yankees, Indians. I still think the Astros are pretty good. Bryce Matthews might get a call up. I hope he does. He looked good in the spring. One of their best prospects, that's for sure. They just seem to have a nice knack for getting these no-name prospects to perform pretty well for them, as well as some of the top-end talent that they've had come through there as well. Also keep this in mind, Astros love to trade for pitching. That always does well, and guess who might not do well this season? The Jays, so Astros might get Mad Max. I think there's a chance of that. I think the Rangers revisiting Mad Max as well is a possibility if he's healthy. He still has the nerve issue he was dealing with in Texas last year. Not sure how many innings he's actually going to be able to get if he's having this issue already in spring training. Cubs and San Diego going to be sellers. I think San Diego's going to sell and add. They're going to do true baseball moves. They ain't just going to sell to sell. You don't see Jesus as an improvement for the Jesus as an improvement for the Phillies in his struggles over the last 2 seasons. Struggles in his entire career, honestly. Yankees are always in on relievers, so Ryan Presley might be a Yankee or someone like that. As far as the Cubs being sellers, that might open it up for them, true. I think he'd be the perfect 8th inning setup guy, but he wants to be a closer. He's been pretty adamant about that. All right, wild card round. You have your third best division winner, that's your Royals, going up against your last wild card team, the Yankees. Yankees versus Royals in Kansas City. I think the Yankees probably beat the Royals. So we have a first wild card upsetting a division winner. Astros versus Orioles. I do think the Orioles will add a starting pitcher. With that being said, I will say the Orioles, good Lord, come on, beat the Astros, and they get bounced in the wild card round. On the NL side, the final wild card or the final division winner is the Brewers. They will face off against the Phillies. I think Philadelphia's got enough to overcome it. So once again, another wild card team getting over on a division champion. Let's just do Phillies. Then you get Diamondbacks and Braves. You'll have Acuna Jr. back, injuries, etc. I really do think Arizona is quite formidable, though. I have my questions about the pitching staff of the Atlanta Braves. They don't have the money to really add the pieces that they need to solve their issues. So for me, I'm going to say the Diamondbacks beat the Braves. Okay, so your division series, that would leave you with what? My 1 seed, I'm going to go ahead and say Boston is the 1. Let's see here. I'm trying to think who they would play in that scenario. I think the Yankees would play the Red Sox in the division series. And I'm going to say the Red Sox beat the Yankees. I might be off on that, but either way. Then you would have the Rangers versus the Orioles. And I think we'll have a repeat of what we saw in 23. I'm really high on the Rangers, as you might expect. I do think the Orioles have a good team. I do think they'll add some starting pitching. We'll have to see how that starting pitching goes as the year goes along. On the NL side, you would have the Dodgers. I'm guessing play the Phillies. I'm picking the Dodgers all day long and twice on Sunday. Then you get the Diamondbacks versus the New York Mets. I think the Mets are going to have enough offense to overcome some of those issues. So I'm going to say the Mets beat the Diamondbacks. All right, ALCS. You're going to have the Rangers versus the Red Sox. To me, the Rangers... Let's just put it this way. On the NL side, Dodgers versus the Mets. I think the Dodgers are still the chalk to go all the way, so I'm not changing that. Then you have in your World Series, the Rangers versus the Los Angeles Dodgers. The champion will be this is going to be a fan vote. This is going to be a heart vote, even though I think everything in the world tells me the Dodgers are going to win this. I'm going to go with a little bit of black magic here and say that Bruce Bochy does whatever he does to do the win one year, terrible the next, win the next year, terrible the next. I think we get a good repeat of that this year. Will it be enough, though, to overcome the Dodgers? They have the best bullpen, I will say that. The question is, can that bullpen adapt? I think by that time they will have. They'll have whatever pieces in the rotation that they need. Rangers, meanwhile, are going to be hoping they're going to have Jacob deGrom and Nathan Eovaldi healthy. Your third starter probably be John Gray back healthy at that point. Hopefully Kumar Rocker still has enough innings left to be able to be a nice pitcher for you at the end of the year. But for me, the Dodgers are probably the best team suited for this. I'm not sure that they have the best pitcher in the game, though, if Jacob deGrom is healthy and the Rangers are out there as well with a healthy Jacob deGrom. I think he could easily go out there and win here. The question is he going to be healthy? Are there other injuries going to factor in? Do the offense can continue to slump, et cetera, et cetera? But like I said, I just can't go against the Rangers on this one. I think if they get this far, I think that they easily have a chance here. I will say that the offense for the Dodgers can be susceptible here because of the way they're still going to be utilizing platoons in certain spots. I think that was a little bit of their downfall towards the end of their tenure, the year they lost in the postseason to the Brewers. But for me, I'm going to go ahead and say the Rangers are the champions. Again, big grain of salt. I should be picking the Dodgers, 100%. I absolutely should be picking the Dodgers here. This is a complete heart over head pick. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Rangers. All right. Now for the awards. Who's going to win the American League MVP? Well, let's look at the standings here. Your best teams are the Rangers, the Royals, and the Red Sox. Bregman could easily get there, both for offense and defense. Rangers, you're looking at Corey Seager. As far as, inspiring stories that we could see, Caminero for the Rookie of the Year race in the with the Rays could be a nice get. MVP, though, Judge's numbers offensively might be enough to carry the Yankees, and that might help him win another MVP award. I think Yordan Alvarez is a great hitter. Is he an MVP, though? Orioles with Henderson, Rutschman, they're still a good roster. Do they get through or have one of their guys break through here? Langford for the Rangers, another one to kind of mention, keep an eye on. Bobby Witt Jr. I think I'm going to go Bobby Witt. I think he is going to have a truly special season. So my American League MVP is Bobby Witt Jr. On the NL side, let's go ahead and just do the basic math here. Mets, maybe Juan Soto. Braves, nobody really. Phillies, Bryce Harper, not really. Brewers, not going to get you there. Dodgers, you have Shohei Ohtani, and then the next quite a ways anyway till the next best player to me. I think this is going to be Shohei's to lose here. So I'm going to go ahead and say Shohei Ohtani wins another NL MVP. Shohei. Come on, man. Spell. Tempted to move my keyboard to the other side next time we do these videos. All right, the American League Cy Young. This is where it gets a little interesting. Who's going to be the best pitcher? You got Scobell, of course, for the Tigers. I don't think anybody on the Twins the Twins or the Guardians is going to get there. Paulo Lopez could, but I think he'll be dealing with trade stuff all year. Nobody on the Royals is going to get there. Rangers, you have DeGrom. Astros, you have Valdez. Mariners, you have Gilbert and Kirby. Kirby starting the season on the injured list. I think the Mariners are going to rest a lot on that pitching staff, and it's going to have to be great. I'm going to go ahead and say the the AL Cy Young Award. DeGrom's going to be in this conversation. Gilbert, to me, is the one I'm kind of leaning towards as far as the AL West. Central, Skubal again, maybe. AL East, I don't think Crochet is going to get there. Fried could be. I don't think he will. Baltimore, to me, there's nobody on that roster currently that says Cy Young. So that really leaves you with just a couple of options here. I'm going to take a wild stab at it. I'm just going to say Logan Gilbert. Do I want to say Skubal again? Nope, I'm going to go Gilbert. NL Cy Young. Who's going to be healthy from the start of the season? Somebody who's never won it before, or at least should deserve another award for this, is Zach Wheeler. To me, I think he should be the Cy Young winner here. I think he's due for one. And I think he's going to be the bright spot for the Phillies all year long, as he always is. AL Rookie of the Year, it's going to be an interesting race. As far as your competitors, you have Cam Smith, a couple of guys from the Astros. Wilson and Muncy for the A's come to mind. Red Sox, you have Campbell, Mayer. I'm going to go with Kumar Rocker for the Rangers, could be a fit. Do I go Kumar? Do I go Cam Smith? Do I go Roman Anthony? If Anthony was going to be on this roster opening day, I'd probably have him in there. But I'm going to go off the board, and I'm going to say Kumar Rocker pitches really well. Do I want to go against Roman Anthony? Oh, who am I kidding? It's Caminero. I think he's eligible still for it. Junior Caminero. NL Rookie of the Year. Braves have one or two. James Wood for the Nationals. Dylan Cruz. Matt Shaw for the Cubs. Roki Sasaki for the Dodgers. I think that's honestly where it's going to go. I'm going to say Roki Sasaki wins the NL Rookie of the Year. AL Manager of the Year, to me, this is the how I would award it is to whoever uplifts their team above their expectations the most. So for me, a good Manager of the Year on the American League side, Red Sox possibly going from kind of a worst to first kind of the situation. Aaron Boone for the way he's going to have to handle the injuries early in the year. If the Guardians can replicate what they did last year, maybe they're in this discussion. Bruce Bochy, I think, is going to have a lot to manage with that bullpen. I think they're going to be a very good team, though. Astros with the injuries, same kind of a thing. I think they have, Espada has a nice chance. Mariners, if they get enough offense, should at least deserve a nice round of applause for being able to string this thing together without the help that they really need to get the roster that they need to be able to compete at the level that they need them to be able to compete at. So for Manager of the Year, I'm going to go to Bruce Bochy. I'm going to say he wins one more before he retires and hangs it up. And how he's going to have to string this bullpen together, I think he's going to be fantastic at it. NL Manager of the Year. I think the Reds, Terry Francona's got to be a candidate here. Mendoza for the Mets has to be a candidate here for all that he's going to have to manage. Murphy for the Brewers is going to have to be a candidate here. Roberts for the Dodgers and the personalities is going to have to manage. Francona for just changing the professionalism in that organization to me. better work habits, those kinds of things. Hopefully, not the fried chicken days that we saw in Boston, of course. Um, NL Manager of the Year. I think I'm going to go with Pat Murphy for the Brewers. All right, so there's your predictions. Your division by division here. Red Sox, Royals, Rangers, Mets, Brewers, Dodgers. World Series champion, ultimately, for me, is the Rangers. All right, let me try to catch up on a few of these comments here. You can see Mullins going to the Astros. Would be interesting. Rangers take good one, yes. I think we're going to see the Rangers versus Astros committed. Or at least the Rangers versus Red Sox, or Astros or Red Sox. I do think that we're going to see some combination of those teams. I will give you that one. Let's see here. Rangers and Dodgers could do business. Same with Marlins and Rangers. Not sure what the Dodgers could do for the Rangers. I don't think they'd give off MLB pieces. Let's see. Let's take it slow. Okay, healthy game one. Rangers take game one. Keep it in mind, David Roberts is good at breaking arms too. We'll see. I don't think he's necessarily terrible for a pitching staff, but I will say that there are better managers who can handle a pitching staff a little bit better. Them Dodger years are going to be so satisfying when they chokes. Tears, you mean? Yeah, I hear you there. I mean, they have a really good team, a really strong roster. David does sometimes beat Goliath. Let's see. Your game two would be probably Eovaldi versus Snell. Juan Soto MVP. That's got to be in the discussion as well. Let me look at who I picked again. I just can't pick against Shohei, man. I think he's going to be just too valuable. Westburg could shock. I agree. Gunnar Henderson, true. He has the ceiling, but I agree with Witt. Kid's unreal. I just can't go against Caminero. I think he's ready to really rise, not just to being a really solid MLB player, but talking about an elite player right out of the gate here. Alonso could have a bounce back behind Soto. True. Game 3, Molly versus Ohtani. Obviously, Ohtani. Leiter versus Roki. Let's see here. Snell could have a season. True. Game 5, Rocker versus Glasnow. You're probably going to be throwing Rocker out of the bullpen in that situation. You have a potential matchup in the chat. Yes. James Wood. I do like James Wood as well. I think he's going to be fantastic. Sasaki, NL Rookie of the Year. True. Ron Washington ain't getting any votes. I doubt it, even though I think he's going to have to do a hell of a job just to get them to where, say, to the 72 win threshold. We could manage the Dodgers roster. I don't know. That's a lot of personalities to be able to handle. It's a lot of interpersonal skills to have there. And I would say it's still a tough job. I'm going to go with Pat Murphy, though, because of the work that he's going to have to do to keep this thing afloat. They're a very young team. They kind of did something they've never done before, haven't really struggled at the MLB level yet, and they're going to struggle. And if they ultimately struggle and still win the division, that's a heck of a managerial job by Pat Murphy. The Dodgers roster is literally like playing MLB The Show. To a certain degree, I'll agree with you there. Welcome in, Hank. Appreciate you joining us once again. Boone sucks he couldn't carry a fly to a grapefruit. I like that one. Alrighty, appreciate you guys joining us. We'll go ahead and save this page. We'll revisit it probably around the All-Star break and just see how funny these projections are. Who knows? Sugano as Rookie of the Year, that'd be an interesting one. I would like that one. But I just think Caminero, an everyday position player, usually has the inside track on that award. So let's see how this thing ultimately works out. All right, appreciate you guys joining us. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. This has been your 2025 season prediction, the final one we will do before the start of opening day. And like I said, we'll revisit these as the year goes along and just see how accurate we actually were. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. If you guys were unable to watch our live and are watching afterward, I really do appreciate you guys tuning in and checking us out. Be sure to follow us over on X at UpsideSN and on Facebook at Upside Sports Network. Alrighty, y'all have a great one. We'll have our sports talk tomorrow morning for you guys, around 10 or 11, somewhere in there. And then we'll have our updated weekly power rankings for Major League Baseball around 6 or 7 tomorrow evening. So be sure to check out both of those lives as well. Really do appreciate your support. Thank you guys very much for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much, Stephen. I know you've done it quite often. I really do appreciate it. It's really nice of you to do so. So, all right. Y'all have a great one. Stay safe out there, everybody.